So what about that research question is important? Having a systematic approach is so helpful to ask a very good question. And I'll introduce acronyms that you know, but oftentimes are worth repeating. So first is the FINER acronym. So is your question feasible? Meaning, can you actually execute your study, right? Is it interesting? Meaning that do editors, colleagues, co-workers, students, trainees actually have an interest in the topic, right? Is it novel? So are you repeating another study, which is not always so good, or are you actually adding to the body of literature? And then is it ethical, which is always very important to have ethical approval for your research work? And then finally, in the finer criteria, is it relevant? Is it relevant to everything in your field? So look at a study that's feasible, interesting, novel, ethical, and relevant to the field you're actually involved with, and generally you're on the right track to answering an important question that will resonate in your field. Along with that is something called the PICOT, P-I-C-O-T. So PICOT, P-I-C-O-T. Think about the patient that you're trying to study in your research question. So if you're asking that question, what patient group are you looking at? And be as specific as possible. So you can ask, do athletes get injuries while they play sports? Well, athletes, for example, is a broad term. You may say, do 16 to 20-year-old soccer players get injured playing sports? Well, that's certainly a lot more detailed and a richer question. Next is the I, which is the intervention. If you're doing a randomized trial or you're comparing two interventions, what are you actually looking at? So you have your patient and your intervention. Are you looking at, for example, wearing a knee brace? So that will be your intervention. And then as you get into C, you're looking at your comparator. So what are you comparing it to? In this case, it'll be wearing no brace, right? So you have the P, the 16 to 20-year-old soccer player. You have your I, the intervention wearing a knee brace to potentially prevent injuries. The comparator, the C, is wearing no brace. And then O, of course, is your outcomes. So you're looking at cataloging, in this case, the injuries that may occur during a season. So that's your outcome, rate of injuries. And then finally, for the T, is a timeline. So in this case, I said a season. We may even be more specific in saying in one comprehensive season, during the soccer, year. So really look at that PICOT acronym at the patient, the intervention, the comparator, the outcome, and the timeline. And if you have that built into a question, such as this one where it is, in soccer players age 16 to 20, playing soccer, year round, does wearing a knee brace compared to not wearing a knee brace reduce the rate of injuries during a soccer season in 1 year? And that's a really nice question that is succinct, answerable, and of course adds to your field.